let's get started. So does everybody have the repo? Yeah, okay. So if you have the repo, basically what we're going to do is we're going to start off doing a couple things. But when we first started the course, I said, yes, you can use Mongo without schemas, but I highly recommend not using Mongos without schemas. I just don't recommend doing it. I've even talked to the people who work at Mongo, and it's like, yeah, don't use Mongo without schemas. In fact, the latest MongoDB driver for Node just started supporting schemas and validations. So even the first party ORM is supporting schemas now. So like, yeah, I definitely want to use schemas, but it doesn't mean it's a relational database because you have schemas. It's just a way to validate your data and make sure that the shape is consistent, so you're not like duck typing on the front end or your mobile app trying to figure out what's there and what's not, because that's just horrible. So you kind of need schemas. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through a few exercises on a couple of things, because the exercise that you're about to do next is you're going to be developing some schemas with some validations and developing some CRUD queries. So I'm going to show you a little bit of things to get started doing that, because it's actually quite simple. So I'm just going to open up this code editor here. So the first thing we need to figure out is, how do we connect to a Mongo database from a Node.js application? That's the first thing. Without that, you can't really do anything. So the way you do that is you basically have two options. You can use the native MongoDB driver, which is pretty cool. It's getting better. Or you can use a package called Mongoose. Who has heard of Mongoose before? You heard of Mongoose? Mongoose, yeah. Mongoose is awesome. I use Mongoose for everything. I don't see a need to even use the native Mongo driver, because Mongoose kind of does the job. It actually just passes straight through to the MongoDB driver for a lot of other things that it does. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. But it's just more modern, and they just have features that the MongoDB driver just hasn't supported yet, although they are catching up. So, and it's got really good support. So that's what we're going to be using. We're going to be using Mongoose for our ORM or ODM, which stands for Object Rational Mapper, or Object Relational Mapper, or Object Data Mapper, like however you want to call it. It's one of those things. It's the same thing like SQLize for Postgres, or Bookshelf for Postgres, any one of those ORMs. Waterline, if you've ever used that. Next, all those are ORMs for like SQL. This is the ORM for Mongo, and it's called Mongoose, and it's definitely the de facto one. And it's probably one of the biggest reasons why I use MongoDB, because Mongoose is so good. Without Mongoose, I don't know if I would even use MongoDB. Like, that's how good it is. Like, I've tried to use DynamoDB before, and I love DynamoDB, but I'm so spoiled by Mongoose, I can't even use DynamoDB. I'm just like, it's just not even close.